Hi, this is Marcella. So let's talk about our August newsletter. Last month in July, I briefly mentioned there's several bills that have passed and that they are effective October 1st. At Monarch, we're going to make sure that we are in compliance and we're starting everything that we are required to do in September, so September 1st, to make sure if there's anything that needs to be corrected, we are ahead of the game. Now, the good news is that we were already doing a lot of the things that now most property managers and landlords need to do. So the first one and the big one is AB 121. And this one is how you report and you advertise your rents, your fees, and any charges that are to the tenant. Well, at Monarch, we have always disclosed our fees on the landlord handbook as well as the tenant multi-disclosure. So we were already doing that. But we're gonna take it further and add one more page to the lease and making this the first page and naming, again, everything that it's listed on their disclosure as far as fees upfront in the very first page. And that is such as, we have to serve you a 7-day pay and quit. This is how much it will cost you if we have to do that. Now, keep in mind, and we can talk about this if you have more questions, we cannot hold the rent back because the tenant did not pay that fee. We can file a lease violation if they don't pay that fee. But we're gonna have to, if we have to serve them, we need to serve them. We need to pay the servicing company and then try to collect it from the tenant. And as long as the tenant pays the rent, we cannot not accept the rent because they didn't pay the fee. And I'll explain more about that. If you have questions, email me and I'll answer those questions. So with that said, here is where the change is, in my opinion. So let's use easy numbers. If a rent is $1,500 a month, for example, and you as the landlord require the tenant to have a landscaper, and the landscaper was $100 a month, and $45 a month for sewer and trash, technically that rent, it's not $1,500, it is $1,645. So that's what is that we're required to change. So we cannot advertise that the rent is $1,500 because it's not. It's $1,645 by the time the tenant pays the rent, the sewer and the trash, and the landscaping. So we need to make sure that the dollar amount that we're advertising as rent, it's going to include all of the other charges that you as the landlord want to pass on to the tenant up front during their term of their lease. And that's gonna make it look like rents have increased when in reality they haven't. We're just combining all of those charges into one amount. So again, if you have any questions, please send us an email and I'll be more than happy to explain it further. So those are the two biggest changes in my opinion. There is another one, which is SB 166, and it talks about not discriminating against pets. And because pets become a touchy subject, and we want to make sure that we are in compliance, we did contract a company called Pet Screening. And what the company is going to do is what we manually do right now, but put the liability on the company and take it away from us at Monarch and the landlord. So as you know, when we have a service animal, as long as we are told that the animal is a service animal, we're not allowed to ask for proof of why is it a service animal. And so if that's what it is, this company is going to do their own verifications and take on the liability. The tenant is going to sign an affidavit with them. We will have a copy of it in their file once all that is completed. If the tenant does not have a pet, we're going to have them screened through pet screening and sign an affidavit that says they don't have a pet. And if the tenant does have a pet, yes, they will have a fee through pet screening, and they will have to provide the required documentation through pet screening, which we do now manually, and that is shot records, picture of animal, and further records of the actual pet or animal. So pet screening is going to take that away from us. And again, it is to release liability on Monarch and the landlords. So that is something that we just started. We just went live, and we're trying to go back and have all of the tenants that are existing go and register through pet screening, or definitely at renewal time, we will require for them to register with pet screening. So those are my two big changes that I wanted to point out. For those of you that have multiple units, what I mean is if you have 2 units or more, whether it's 2 or 3, or some are 4 units, and those are called multi-units. Those have a new requirement, and I will send you that information directly because it only applies to a few of our landlords. So those are the major changes as far as the bills that pass. Now, I do want to point something out. If you do own a condo and your association was making the sewer payments as part of your association assessment, that has changed. The associations in Clark County can no longer pay for the sewer. So what is happening is they are sending letters to the landlords. So if you haven't received one and your association was paying this for you, please contact them. You're going to have to register and have that sewer bill sent to you, the landlord, because the bill can only be in the landlord's name, and we cannot do that for you. But the associations are no longer paying them. So we're still going to collect from the tenant if that becomes their responsibility. If it is something that we were already doing, then we'll continue to do that. But the association will no longer pay the sewer for the landlords, and you will need to register any property that is in Clark County to make sure that you have that sewer bill sent to you. Most likely, most of us have the sewer bill sent to our homes, and they are sent once a year. Usually it is to the address that it's recorded on your property and that your property taxes go there. Something else that was very important, and I did mention in July, I also sent an email on this, is property taxes are due in August. And in order for us to make sure that property taxes are paid on time, I checked several times and the new property taxes were not showing up on the assessor's page. So I went ahead and used the same amount that was paid last year in property taxes to write the check to send out so that it arrives on time in August. I will, in the middle of August, check if the property taxes are already showing on the assessor's page and compare it to the amount that I paid, and make sure that if there's still any amount owed, that we'll take care of it. But to avoid the taxes being late, this is how I had to do it. Now, this only applies to those homes and to the homeowners that we paid taxes for. I looked through some of the homeowners that I couldn't remember if we did or not. I looked at your year to date, and if it said that I paid your taxes, we went ahead and did that, and that would have been reflected on your July statement. If you wanted us to pay it and we did not pay it in your July statement, there's still time. Just let us know and we'll go ahead and take care of it immediately on the August statement. So I think those were the important things. And as far as the market is concerned, it's taking about 128 days for a property to go into contract. We have over 6,000 homes in the market, and that is for sale. And that also reflects on the properties that are on the market for rent. I am trying to send around the time that I send you your statements, and I'm trying to look to give you accurate numbers. Let's see. So as of the 23rd, which is today, we had the median price was $550,000 and taking 128 days on the market. Price increase, it was 2%. And how many houses had a price reduction for this month of July? It was 43% of the properties. Now it's saying that the median rent is $2,300, and that's a little bit hard to judge since we have properties that are condos that could be a 1-bedroom. We have homes that are very big and the prices are higher. But I want you to keep in mind that you're gonna see rents look like they have increased, and what it is, it's the new changes of how we have to advertise the property and include all of the charges in that price. Well, hopefully this was helpful, and until next month that I'll try to do another video update that it's much easier than just sending an email. Hope August is a great month for you, and we're almost done with summer, so we made it through the hardest part with air conditioning units. Thank you and have a good day.